Welcome back to another hangout on the O'Shea Vlogcast. Today, I want to speak on a different topic. And we're dealing with the idea that what occurs in the dark will one day come into the light. What occurs in the dark? Occurring in the dark. I can remember as a young child, a young boy, and my parents being together, but still I was afraid. And what is it that you thought I was afraid of? Well, I was afraid of the dark. My father was a big man, and he was a man who could protect himself, even still to this day. He's in his 60s now, but he's still a man that is strong and aggressive looking. And I knew that I felt very comfortable with him. I felt very comfortable with my mother being there, but still, I was afraid of the dark. So much so that my parents had to force me to sleep with the lights off. If I could, I would keep the lights on all day. And so, what really, I guess, made me scared about the dark and other kids was not necessarily the dark itself. Because the dark itself doesn't make you afraid. Didn't make me afraid. But what made me afraid and what makes some people afraid is what happens in the dark, or what might happen in the dark. You understand what I'm talking about now? Because the dark itself is not necessarily dangerous, but what might happen in the dark to you is what people are afraid of. You're afraid of some monster coming up under your bed and eating you, or something attacking you that you can't see. And to be fair, much of the crime and murders and bad things that happen occur in the dark. Many times you will see that. That's why there was a song made, "The Freaks Come Out at Night." The freaks come out at night. This is why clubs and bars and these kinds of places go out at night. That's why they call it nightlife. Because at night is when things transpire. Even in, black neighborhoods. And if you come from the hood, and if you had a father like I did, he'd say, "Boy, have your ass back in this house before what? Those street lights come on." And it wasn't that he was just trying to be mean, because he understood that in the dark, there was less protection. Things could happen to you. But the light, on the other hand, represents truth. The light represents things you can see. This is why if you ever read the Bible, you will hear Jesus refer to himself as, "I am the light. I am the light of the world," or "Ye are the light of the world. You are like a city on the hill that cannot be hid." I am trans-illuminating. I'm an illuminating figure. What I'm saying is the light. And so on and so forth. This is why white people call black people dark. Called you black because dark and black meant evil. It meant that you are doing everything that was against the light. But many people, now we know what dark is and why people are afraid of it. Many people are not afraid of the dark. Criminals are not afraid of the dark. Killers are not afraid of the dark. And one group of people who are not afraid of the dark are liars. Liars are not afraid of the dark. Deceitful people are not afraid of the dark. You see, the dark is where they live. And some people make a living in the dark. Some people, their whole livelihood, their whole passion is about hiding things. For example, there was a story of some men who were on the down low, and they met up at a particular park in the dark. And these group of men would meet up in the dark, men who were married, men who were senators, men who were all of these people, and they would meet up in the dark. And they would have unprotected sex with each other. They did this for years. Nobody knew. Or at least they thought that nobody knew. Because, see, they hid their lifestyle in the dark. Then something strange started to happen. These group of men came back with something that they couldn't get rid of. It's called HIV. Some of them didn't get it checked enough, and then it turned into AIDS. And when it was found out that they caught AIDS, and when those men had to confess what they did, it shocked everybody involved. Their families, their co-workers, everybody. Again, because they never thought that this was going to come to the light. They figured that it was in the dark. Let's talk about another man named Reverend James Cleveland. One of the greatest gospel composers of all time. He had a church called the Cornerstone Baptist Church right there in Los Angeles. The good Reverend James Cleveland was popular. Southern California Mass Choir started the GMWA, Gospel Music Workshops of America. But Reverend James Cleveland had a hideous secret that was in the dark. And see, there was no internet back then, and there was no Yahoo Messenger or no Google Hangout. So, in back that time, it's not an exposing society as it is today. But what was so strange is, although the Reverend James Cleveland had a dirty secret, you had people that were near to him that wanted to keep it in the dark. Now, here's the thing. When I was talking about those DL brothers, those DL men who were meeting up in those parks having sex, you see, that was only their secret as an individual. But see, it's even worse when you have a group of people who know that you're in the dark and they want to keep it that way. And this is what happened with a particular person, Reverend James Cleveland. His dirty secret was he was gay. Now, not that being gay was bad, but you are gay and you are a minister, and also you have HIV. Well, not only that, Reverend James Cleveland had adopted some boys. One of them, first name I believe was Christopher, a boy that he gave HIV, and people hid it. Now, James Cleveland died maybe a few years before this came out, but people thought he died because he was sick or he had cancer. But then it came out that the speculation is that he had AIDS. And when the boy proved in court that Reverend James Cleveland gave him HIV, he won a lawsuit from the estate of James Cleveland. But see, not only did James Cleveland keep it in the dark, people helped him keep it in the dark, thinking that it would never come to light. I want to talk to you about one of your professional, I won't say professional, but one of your more popular black leaders. Man by the name of Louis Farrakhan. I got to do my video. I've already written it out. Why Louis Farrakhan is a coon. Why Louis Farrakhan is a coon. And many black people have a high respect for Louis Farrakhan. I can't see how. I can't see why. Because there's one reason that Louis Farrakhan should never get any respect for the black community. Louis Farrakhan wanted Malcolm X to be killed. Wait a minute, brother. Did you say Louis Farrakhan wanted Malcolm X to be killed? Yes, he did. Louis Farrakhan, as the editor of the Final Call, I believe at the time, asked for the head of Malcolm X. In other words, says such a man should be put to death. Well, why? I'm glad you asked that question. Because the Honorable El-Hajj Malik Shabazz, known as Malcolm X, was a devout member of the Nation of Islam. And while he was silenced in being mistreated by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, word got around from his son Warith Deen Muhammad that the messenger or prophet Elijah Muhammad had gotten some women pregnant within the Nation of Islam. And although getting women pregnant is not illegal, in the case of Elijah Muhammad, who was already married, it was illegal. And not only did Elijah Muhammad allow those women to get pregnant because he was cheating on his wife, he allowed them to be publicly humiliated. In other words, when those women came up pregnant and didn't have a husband, Elijah Muhammad allowed a group of men to chastise them and kick them out of the Nation of Islam. When Elijah Muhammad got those women pregnant. Calypso organ, I'm preaching, I'm really preaching. So you mean to tell me that Elijah Muhammad, who made the rules of the nation or helped develop them, actually got some females pregnant and then got them kicked out with child? Yes. And Louis Farrakhan knew about it. The leaders of the Nation of Islam knew that when Malcolm X took it to the forefront and told the people what Elijah Muhammad did, he told the truth. He says Elijah Muhammad is a crook. Elijah Muhammad is telling people that they should do this and that, but he is also committing his own sins and breaking the laws of Islam. If he got those women pregnant and if those are his wives, he should claim them. Elijah Muhammad did not claim them. He allowed those women to be ridiculed and humiliated. But Louis Farrakhan did not like the light. He was not upset with Malcolm X for telling the truth. He was mad at Malcolm X for not keeping Elijah Muhammad's secret in the dark. He wanted the messenger, Elijah Muhammad, to continue on doing what he was doing. He wanted Elijah Muhammad to not be held accountable. And so when Louis Farrakhan wrote in the Final Call, or whatever the paper was called at that time, such a man should be put to death, the Nation of Islam, or the Fruits of Islam, went out to assassinate Malcolm X. Not because of what he said was wrong, because it wasn't. It was because he could not keep it in the dark. Until this day, you have a multitude of black people going around worshiping Louis Farrakhan for committing one of the biggest tragedies ever in the history of the black community, which is getting one of the brightest minds and one of the most courageous and upright people assassinated, which is El-Hajj Malik Shabazz, which is Malcolm X, simply because Malcolm X didn't want to keep Elijah Muhammad's dirty secrets in the damn dark. What am I meaning when I say this? Because, see, this is something that you got to understand, brothers. You see, many people have things that are in the dark. African dictators had things that were in the dark. Papa Doc of Haiti had a lot of stuff in the dark. William Tubman of Liberia had a lot of stuff in the dark. And for those people who told it, they got killed. Latrice Lumumba of the Congo had a lot of dirty laundry on the Belgian people in the dark. And when that was brought to the light, he was assassinated. What am I telling you? If you bring out things to the light that people do not like, you will also be assassinated. Maybe not by physical assassination, but people will assassinate your character. Because, see, a lot of people like to live in the dark. You see, there's a group of women in the community that love the dark. You see, in the dark, I can't see you doing certain things that I would see in the day. In the dark, people are in home because they're in the house. In the dark, it might get cold, it might rain, it might snow. So in the dark, people may or may not see you. And while they're doing their dirty business or while they're doing their dirty laundry, even if you happen to see them, people in the dark don't want you to see them. In other words, if you see them, you better act like you don't see them. Because people want to be able to do what they want to do in the dark. And that goes along with the women of the community. You see, all of the crimes and atrocities that they commit in the community against the African-American male and African-American females, you got to understand that once you call it out, that what they're doing is in the dark, you're going to pay a severe price. Like Malcolm X paid a severe price. You see, the light means you wake up. The light means you're no longer stupid. You're no longer dull. You understand what's going on with you. You understand what's going on with your community. You understand what's the truth. That's the light. That means you see it. But you got to understand that a lot of people don't want you to see it. Nobody wants you to see the truth. Nobody wants you to live in truth. People want you to live as if you don't see what happened. That's why they had that Stop Snitching campaign, right? I mean, this is what it's about. Let's assume, and let me do this, while I have 136 people watching, I got only 62 likes. I need 38 people to go and like the video to promote it because this is a good stream. I at least deserve some likes, brothers. Come on now. Help me out here. I'm really putting it together right now. 140 watching, 63 likes. Y'all can do better than that. I need you to go like this video. Get them up. Get them up. Get these likes up. I'm working real hard for y'all tonight. You see, in the community or other places like this, people are going to be very distraught, very upset. Like I said, if you're telling the truth. People like to live in the dark. But let me tell you something about people who live in the dark and what I learned and what a lot of criminals learned. You know, nowadays, it don't matter if you do things in the dark anyway. They have ways of catching you. See, back in the day, you could kill somebody in the dark. Nobody would know about it. But they have forensic medicine now, forensic evidence. And don't matter what time of day you do it now, they're going to find you. You see, the problem with people is you want to be able to get away with things in the dark and not get called out on it. But the only way you can ever get away with something is to not do it at all. Thank you, K-Love. You understand that? That means not do it at all. See, people have a problem with this. Bill Cosby had a problem with this. Bill O'Reilly had a problem with this. You see, they liked looking good in the light, living a different lifestyle in the dark. And see, Bill O'Reilly's problem was, while he was talking crap about everybody else and criticizing other people, he was living a life in the dark he didn't want anybody to know about. Same thing with Bill Cosby. But see, what they should have thought about was, if I do it in the dark, it's going to come out. You see, my grandma used to tell me that. She used to tell me, hey, son, I'm going to tell you something. If you do something, I might not catch you today. I might not catch you tomorrow. I might not catch you next week or next month or even next year. But one of these days, you can rest assured I'm going to catch you. Ain't that beautiful? I never understood how. How will she know? And the thing about it is that people who live in the dark repetitively do things in the dark. And if you keep doing something all of the time, sooner or later, somebody's going to see it. Sooner or later. Sooner or later. Somebody's going to come and shine those lights on you in the dark. You think that nobody sees you. You think that nobody is looking at you. But eventually, somebody sees what you're doing, even if you don't see it. Somebody knows what you're doing, even if you don't think they know. Because once somebody knows, just because they don't tell it, don't mean that they saw it. And one of these days, somebody will tell it. I mean, think about the blackmail situations. You know, people will find out that you said something or did something. They won't say nothing, they'll sit on it. They said, man, I seen you come out of that man's house. No, you didn't. Yeah, I did. You're supposed to be a preacher. Here's you right here on the videotape doing this with this man. Guy could be a prominent preacher. It's going to cost you $50,000 to get this tape from me. You see what that is? That's called blackmail. You see, Martin Luther King was blackmailed in a similar way. Let's talk about the good Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King, no doubt, was an influential person. But the good Reverend Doctor had a problem with light-skinned women and prostitutes. You see, while he should have been preaching and living a great life as an example to the Southern Christian leadership group that he was doing, Martin Luther King was screwing prostitutes and light-skinned women all the time. So much so that J. Edgar Hoover had taped his hotel rooms. And he had a hotel room of Martin Luther King screwing a bunch of women, and the sex noises were being recorded. Now, J. Edgar Hoover tried to make a deal. He says, listen, nigga, I mean, I thought you're supposed to be a preacher, Reverend Doctor, but, you know, I got a tape of you screwing a bunch of women. Now, if you don't stop doing what you're doing, I'm going to send this to your wife. You know, Martin Luther King said, listen, man, I'm, on the road 28 days out of 30 days, fucking is how I relieve stress. J. Edgar Hoover said, fair enough. Sent the tape to Coretta Scott King. Now, if you don't believe me, this is also in the movie Selma. She tried to lie about it. He says, Martin, I heard something. She says, do you have another woman? He said, no. He says, Martin, I know how you sound in bed. I know how you sound, Martin. In other words, nigga, you can't fool me. I screw you. I got 4 kids by you. I know how you sound when you having sex. That's you. Then she asks Martin Luther King, do you love her? He says no. But let's contrast her to Malcolm X. Malcolm X also had his rooms tapped. But guess what? The FBI said he ain't got nothing on him. Nothing on him. He comes in his room. There's no women there. He's 100% faithful to his wife. He says this guy is a saint compared to Martin. Now, understand, Malcolm X was a criminal before, a crook, a pimp, a player, a hustler. But he understood the idea of leadership. You see, you cannot lead people. You cannot be an example to people if you're doing the same things that they're doing. You understand that? You know, I could never be a medical doctor if I'm out there doing drugs, I'm drinking every night, I'm partying, I'm doing all of these things that are, you know, not vital to my health. I could never be a doctor like that. That's a bad example for what? I could never be on here talking about the black community if I'm out here selling drugs. If I'm out here breaking into people's houses. See, I can't uplift black people talking like that. I got to live my life to a certain kind of example. And see, this is what people have hard times with. A lot of women have a hard time with this. A lot of black women. And the reason why a lot of black women have a hard time doing this is because they try to make themselves to be so much in the light. That's why when you meet some of these chicks, oh, I'm not like the other females. I do this, I do that. And they what they do is pretty much come up with a profile of themselves that they can't live up to. You understand what I'm talking about? A lot of women have that hard problem. They're trying to live up to an expectation that they can't live up to. I don't be cheating. I don't be doing this. I don't be doing that. I don't do what these other girls do. And then you find out a few months later, what she was hiding from you in the dark comes out. If she's a hoe or a liar, it comes out. Because see, you can only hold that for so long. A person who is a liar or a scam artist, they sound good at first. You know what I mean? They sound legit at first. A con artist can only con you early in the relationship. That's why con artists, they can only work quickly. A con artist can't be in a relationship with a person for 10 years. They're only good for the first few months. Because eventually, what comes out in their dark past is going to come out over time. They can't help but be themselves. They can try to hide it in the dark, but eventually who they really are going to come out. You know, people who lie a lot like that, when you first meet them, you not might be able to understand. But if you hang around them for a few weeks, a few months, their true tendencies come out. It comes out to the forefront. And you're like, oh, I see what you're about. And then what a lot of women do is when you find out about their dark past and they can't lie to you anymore, what do? They stop talking to you. A lot of chicks, when you find out a woman is trying to scam you or trying to get over on you, or a person's trying to con you and you confront them, they'll leave you alone. They'll block your number. They won't talk to you no more. Because once a person figured that you figured out their con, they move on to the next person. They go over to rebuildanigga.com or rebuildabitch.com, start a new profile, start over again. This happens all the time. I'm really preaching Calypso. Oregon. This is what happens. Because when you bring all of that to the light, they don't want to fuck with you no more. They'll make excuses. You try to call them and confront them about it. What do? They don't answer the phone. They send you the voicemail. They block your number. And it's not because you did nothing wrong. It's because you know their dark truth. And they don't want you to go tell nobody else that. So what they do is they reinvent themselves. They lay low, come out with a new profile, start all over again. That's what happens. And that's how you can tell a lot of people when they're hiding something in the dark. Typically, I'll give you a good example before I leave. A lot of these born again Christian chicks, you guys know what I'm talking about. You see them on Facebook. Every post is about Jesus and the Holy Ghost. I love the Lord. Holy Ghost, Holy Ghost. I love Jesus. Holy Ghost, Holy Ghost. Daily Bible scriptures. You see it all the time. First thing you ought to think about when somebody is too holy, I'm thinking you got something to hide. Darkness, darkness, dark. You hiding something. Right? You hiding something. And if you find out what it is, they can only hold that Jesus thing up for a few weeks. One of those chicks, get them a cup of Hennessy, you're gonna find out who they are. All that you're gonna find out who they really. You're gonna find out real soon. So I just wanted to talk about this real quick. Not too much major, but the podcast that I just wanted to make today, brothers, is if you think that you want to hold yourself up to a certain standard, I mean, that means if you want to have a certain respect and you put a certain type of image out in the world, live to that image. Whatever precedence you put on for people, whatever facade you put up, you got to live it in person, and you got to live it when don't nobody see you. Don't be the type of person that when somebody sees you, you act one way. And when don't nobody see you, you act another. See, that's how you mess up. That's how a lot of men have lost their lives. A lot of men have lost all that they had because they were one way. They were duplicitous. Don't be duplicitous. Be the same way you are in person, in season, and out of season. That way you ain't got to worry about nobody having no dirty stuff on you. I told you earlier, a YouTuber tried to come up on me and tried to say I'm a criminal. Now, that information was about a family member. It had nothing to do with me. And the reason why I can show my face on YouTube, I don't hide behind no avatar, is because I ain't got nothing to hide. You see, I know that I live my life. I ain't perfect, but I ain't ashamed of nothing that I did. I ain't ashamed of nothing. Yeah, I did that. I did that. If I had sex with an ugly girl, I did that. I ain't ashamed. Ain't nothing on me in the dark that I was doing that I ain't ashamed of doing. Now I did some dumbass stuff, absolutely. I ain't gonna lie about that. But see, you can't you ain't nothing in the dark from my past you can bring up on me, and it's gonna embarrass me. You understand what I mean? See, that's what people try to do. They're always looking for what's in your dark past. They don't like you. They're trying to dig in the dark. And see, if you allow people to have some stuff in the dark and they can find it, they're going to use it against you. So that's why you got to make sure in your life you live what you say you live. You got to live by what you say you live. If you say you're not a simp, then you can't be a simp off the YouTube either. If you say you're a good father on Facebook, be a good father on the Facebook. Because if you're not a good father, somebody's going to tell you. They're going to tell it. And when somebody got proof on you that you are not what you say you are, you become Umar Johnson. You lose credibility. Like when you brothers say, okay, I'm going to donate to the Negro Manosphere O'Shea. I trust O'Shea to put the site up and to pay the writers. If I say that's what I'm going to do, I do it. I say if you support my channel, I'm going to give back to you in form of interviews with other brothers. I give back in form of information, things you can use. That's my guarantee to you. But if I stop doing that, that makes me a liar. If I don't do that, that makes me a liar. And then my name is bad. Umar Johnson name is bad. So many other brothers, even on YouTube, name is bad because they don't do what they say they're gonna do. They thought that stuff wasn't gonna get in the dark, and it is. Now it's in the light. And once your darkness is in the light, you can't go back. You can't rebuild credibility once you've already messed it up. Credibility is hard to get, but once you lose it, it's it. Get the likes up on the video, brothers. Poker. Get the likes up, man. I mean, 173 watching. I don't want you brothers to like the video. Get the likes up. I have 171 watching. I need 35 brothers to go ahead and like this video. So if you're in the stream, I just need you to go ahead and get the like up for me. Hit the like button for me on the video and get the video up. Thank you, Full Circle. And tomorrow, I'm going to produce my Controlling Black People. We'll go back to my series. We'll be dealing with William Tolbert of Liberia. How to Control Black People, William Tolbert of Liberia. William Tolbert of Liberia, a sad story, but nevertheless a very interesting one. We'll be dealing with that topic tomorrow in the morning. I'll be producing that excellent content. Falcon Black, he likes to hear those African dictator stories. So we're going to get those back on the channel. I think I'll go back and do some Nigerian ones. I can speak to those. Tolbert, he was disemboweled. Whether he was eaten or not, I'm not sure. HCTV, O'Shea, I think you are biggest simp. Thank you. Shout outs to everybody there in the chat. There's always some people in the chat like they can get your if they can't get your attention any other way, they'll say something stupid so they can get your attention. All right, shout outs to you. So, brothers, if you are not subscribed to the NegroManosphere.com, I need you to drop your email as well. I don't know if I have Idris Singleton in here. I don't know, Mr. Show 8098. All of you brothers who are not subscribed to the Negro Manosphere, meaning that you don't get an email from me, you're not subscribed to the Black Juggernaut. You need to put your emails down below in the chat. And the reason why is we have an excellent website. Brother Seth Maurice, what's going on? We have a African Yashar, what's going on? Drop your email. We have an excellent website that brothers donate to give out free information. And today we have a great article by Donovan Sharp, 5 reasons why black men should date white women. I'm gonna put that here actually in the I'm gonna put that here actually in the comment box. So for you brothers. So let me put that in here for you. So, like I said, thank you, The Killer Genius. If you haven't been subscribed, you're doing yourself a disservice. We have excellent content, best writers in the world. Tomorrow we got Ron Wills coming out with an article. And so make sure you subscribe, drop your emails. Email me at planetoshay@gmail.com. We post every day, sometimes twice a day for you brothers. Keith White, what's going on, man? I'm going to go ahead and get you subscribed right now. Because we want all our brothers to, to see this, see what we're doing over here. So K White, go into, let's see, K White Jr. All right, check your email, brother, and hit the confirm link on that. to get subscribed to the Black Juggernaut. All right, brother, this is going to be enough for me tonight. Appreciate all of you. Thank you for what you're doing. Edward Montel, shout out to the commission. Shout out to everybody. Keep doing what you're doing, brothers. We're going to continue to do well here in the Negro Manosphere. As you know, the buffoonery remains at the all-time high. I'm out. All right. Jenna Miles. Finally convinced. Brother, you gotta sign up. Thank you, Brother Falcon Black. You gotta sign up. It's good for you to sign up. So it's free. It's information you guys pay for. It's information that's not on my YouTube channel. We have multiple writers. Go ahead and confirm your link, brother, to the site. And as you know, the buffoonery remains at an all-time high. Thank you, Lavelle. Look, this dude, the fur, man. Come on. You guys make up all these accounts to come in and say these damn things. Prophet of Thought Series, man. Whenever you want me to come do it, brother, just email me, planetoshay@gmail.com. I'll come on the show, brother. There ain't no problem. You know, you always moderate for me, man. Whenever you need me, and you can always come and hang out here if you like. You just let me know when you're available. And as you know, the buffoonery remains at an all-time high. Shout out to my man, Prophet of Thought Series. Brother got some good content. You want to go ahead and subscribe to him also. So you brothers out there, check out the Prophet of Thought Series. And Brother Max Potential, what's going on? Dr. Land Max, the Exercise King. Jaden, what's going on with you? Mark Anthony, thank you. And we out. Peace.